Hi guys, my name is Tal and welcome to the game called The Beginner Guide. And this is a game that the developer were from Stanley Parable, where the narrator of this will call himself Davey. And Davey here will narrate a friend of his called Coda, which is a game developer where we will look at games from 2008 and to 2011 of like certain games that he built and across those time frames. Now, something I have read or learned about this is that you should have two perspectives when you're watching this gameplay. The perspective of the narrator and the perspective of Coda himself, of why he made this game, why he does these things. Because sometimes people interpret things much more differently than what the other person usually meant to say, right? So just have that in mind, and let's begin the game. And it fades to white. So far, Stanley Parable is really interested in games that takes unique perspective and have very funny narrative. In this case, we don't have a lot of options.
Hi there. Thank you very much for playing The Beginner's Guide. My name is Davey Reedon. I wrote The Stanley Parable, and while that game tells a pretty absurd story, today I'm going to tell you about a series of events that happened between 2008 and 2011. We're going to look at the games made by a friend of mine named Coda. Now, these games mean a lot to me. I met Coda in early 2009 at a time when I was really struggling with some personal stuff.
Oh, you were struggling.
And his work pointed me in a very powerful direction. I found it to be a good reference point for the kinds of creative works that I wanted to make. So just to start you off, this is, I think, the first game he ever made. It's a level for Counter-Strike. You can walk around here, by the way. And mostly it's just Coda learning the basics of building a 3D environment. But what I like is that even though he starts from the simple aesthetic of a desert town, he then scatters these colorful abstract blobs and impossible floating crates around the level. And of course, it destroys the illusion that this actually is a desert town, and instead this level becomes a kind of calling card from its creator. It's like a reminder that this video game was constructed by a real person. And it kind of makes you wonder, what was going through his head as he was building this? This is what I like about all of Coda's games. I mean, not that they're all fascinating as games, but that they are all going to give us access to their creator. I want us to see past the games themselves. I want to get to know who this human being really is. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. So, it's 2008, Coda starts making these games, and he never releases any of them. He doesn't put them onto the internet, he just makes them and then immediately abandons them, and they sit on his computer forever. And I think he really understood this image of himself as a recluse. At one point, he jokingly renamed his computer's recycling bin to Important Games Folder.
Important Games
folder.
So,
you know, this was just how he worked. He tended to crank them out one after the other without even really pausing to try to understand what he had just made, until suddenly one day, he just stopped. In 2011, that was it. He made his last game, and then he hasn't made another one since. And that's why I've taken this opportunity to gather all of his work together, is because I find his games powerful and interesting, and I'd like this collection to reach him, to maybe encourage him to start creating again. And if the people like you who play this also happen to find his work interesting, then I'm sure it'll just send that much stronger of a message of encouragement to Coda. So thanks for joining me on this. If you have a particular interpretation that I haven't mentioned here, or if you just need to get in touch, you can email me at daveywreden@gmail.com. Okay, that's about it for introduction. Let's take a look at Coda's first proper game. As each game is loading, I'll show you the date that it was completed. This first one was made in November 2008.
Proper game. Proper game. Alright, let's see. Oh. Sci-fi space. Okay. Whoa. I got a gun. Oh,
this game is called Escape from Whisper, and it's one of the more generic games you'll see from Coda.
Oh, I can shoot? Sweet. Can I reload? I can't reload. Interesting. There's no reloading.
Security call breached. Hostile alien life form inbound.
it kinda looks like this game was abandoned mid-development. For instance, you have this gun, which you'd think would indicate that there are supposed to be monsters or enemies somewhere, but then clearly there are no enemies anywhere. You can't even reload the gun when you run out of bullets. But ultimately we don't really know. Maybe Coda thought that actually it was complete the way that it is. And I think that we should talk about his games for what they are, rather than for what they're not.
Enemy force neutralized.
I love how you can see the bottom of the universe from this room.
That's amazing. Oh, maze. A labyrinth.
Apparently the space station has a labyrinth on it. Sure, I don't know. There's really no reason for it that I've ever been able to discern, so in the interest of time, I'm just gonna skip you on past it.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, this is the part that's interesting. The game has this narrative about the whisper machine and how it has to be turned off, and then you get to the engine room.
Hey, you there, in the engine room. You could save us all. That beam is powering the whisper machine. We could disrupt it by introducing a great enough heat signature. If your body could stop the beam.
My body?
It's so much to ask, but for all of our lives, would you do it? Could you give yourself?
No. I don't wanna. I don't want to. No, I don't wanna. Why would I sacrifice myself for you guys? No, I don't wanna. I'm not doing it. You can die with me. All together. Forever and ever. But yeah, this is an interesting take on
This is not a branching point, unfortunately. The only option is to step into the beam.
Alright, fine. Oh, a glitch.
Let me pause here for a second. What you just experienced, stepping into the beam and then dying, is probably what Coda had initially intended when he was developing this level. But when he first compiles and plays it, something goes wrong. There's a bug somewhere. And this is what happens instead.
Oh, I see. Yo. Oh, I'm going to heaven. I died. Oh, that's beautiful.
The beam causes you to start floating. And this is an important moment for him. Because yes, this is technically a glitch, but Coda identifies something human about it, like how small it makes you feel in the face of this larger chaotic system. Or this floating could be the afterlife, a peaceful place, juxtaposed against all of the hysteria that you've just had to traverse. I don't even know. I have no idea what he was thinking, but what's clear is that after making this, something lodges itself in his brain. He wants to do more of these really weird and experimental designs. So he stops work on this and moves on to a stream of tiny little games that go in all sorts of directions. Let's go ahead and take a look at the first game he made after leaving this one behind.
November 2008. Back room. I can't seem to move. Oh, I can move backward.
Yep. In this game, you can only walk backwards.
Passwords behind her. So far, my interpretation of like Coda in general, right, is like he was interested in making FPS games or shooting games, and or sci-fi games, right? And all of a sudden, this happens. Very philosophical. The passwords behind her, and you also have to move backward as a interpretation of this meaning or statement. And makes me wonder, is like, Coda, did someone broke your heart? And also Davey. Davey seems to have been also going through struggles too. So would Coda also be going through struggle too and represent his games as an artwork or his type of feelings? Expressing his emotions through gaming. But overall, this is actually really unique. Oh.
So it's a short and relatively minimalist experiment combining motion and narrative. It is less advanced than the previous game, but actually it seems to be more focused, more complete. Coda's trying to give it a unique voice rather than simply basing it on a pre-existing trope.
Let's see. But the future could not be seen. Why does the future keep changing? Why does the future, but the future could not be seen, keep changing? Interesting. Somehow Coda went from generic shooting games, action games, to more philosophical or narrative-rich story-based telling. When she stopped and looked, it became clearer. Oh, that's beautiful. It did become clear for me. But if the future is always behind her, how will she find the strength? The future is always behind her, how will she find the strength? So is this like not able to understand what the future looks like for you, an existential crisis? Are you confused of what the future has in stake for you, and you hate that feeling because you're unable to know or feel secure or have control over your future because it's very distant to confront it?
It's a short little thought, it says what it wants to say, and then it ends. Didn't need anything more than that. Which to me is why it works, because it gets out quick. Okay, next one.
True, fair. A forest. You are now entering. Oh.
And that's it. Okay, the meaning of this game won't be clear just yet. Please be patient with me for a few more games, and I promise you'll see what makes it interesting.
Nonsense.
Oftentimes,
in
Coda
nearly
would
every
put
direction.
bizarre titles like this one at the start of his games.
Nonsense in every direction. Yes.
I wish I'd known him at the time that he was making these early games. He would really only talk to me about his work as he was making it. Once he stopped work on a game, like, that was it. It was dead to him. And I don't agree with that at all, but what are you gonna do?
It's quite interesting. Nonsense in every direction. It feels like you make choices in life that just feels like, what's the point, you know? Like, am I really... I'm getting slower and slower. But, like, am I going the right direction at all, or making progress? Is it just nonsense?
Once you've been slowed to an absolute crawl, the door at the top of the stairs opens. So why, if Coda's not showing these games to anyone, why bother opening the door at all? Well, to show you, I'm modifying the game here so that when you press enter, it'll bring you back up to full speed so you can enter the door for yourself.
Maybe this is something very meaningful to... So Coda probably programmed this to make the viewer or to make the player to try their hardest to crawl up through these long steps or steps of life in general. You know, you can interpret this in many ways and all that stuff, but let's press enter. And maybe when we get to the top, we'll find something very interesting. Stand on the X, staring bare for a while. You run, shopping your fine body, selling your organs strategically, money before you die. A game of motivation quotes. Play while a player cannot move. You body sounds. You start in a small room until you realize you just walk through the wall.
A room that's warm and nice and filled with little ideas for games.
You are a gate. You're a gate. Press U to
Coda
surrender.
would often tell me that he didn't mind if people thought of him as cold or distant. He said that he knew that he was actually a vibrant and compassionate person, but that it takes time to really see that. It can be a very slow climb to get there.
Interesting. It is a very slow climb. Oh, and it ended. You guys can pause and read all of that. Ready, set, fish. Interesting titles, though. Minimalistic blocks.
Well, this is new for Coda. It's an actual puzzle. Go ahead and see if you can solve it.
Huh. Can I press this again? Oh! Okay. What if I press this and go in here? Oh, leather.
Don't forget that solution, because we're going to see this puzzle again soon. We're gonna see it a lot.
Gotcha. Is that it?
So that seems to be it, right?
No, there gotta be
you
more.
walk down a corridor, you solve a puzzle, you get to the end. Simple enough.
No, there gotta be more.
All right, now I'm going to modify the game again so that when you press enter, it'll remove all of the walls from this room.
Whoa. Green, red, yellow.
How about that? There was more to it than we had any way of knowing. I actually find it funny that this game comes after the Stairs game, since they essentially convey the opposite idea. So, in the Stairs game, a dull exterior concealed a rich interior. And then, in this level, a dull interior hides this fantastic outer world. Either way, I think that the point is the same, is that most of the time you don't get to know what you're missing, or even that you're missing anything. That's not your role as a player. So if your role here is not to understand, then what is it?
Oh, back and forth again. Am I exiting the forest? I am exiting the forest.
Aha. So, this, combined with the entering game from earlier, tells us that Coda believes his games are connected somehow. It could even be that the Stairs game and the puzzle game are literally connected in between this and the entering game. There's a bigger picture that all of his games are meant to play a role in, some larger meaning that we won't be able to grasp until we've seen all of them. And once we have, we can step back and start to understand what exactly that bigger picture is.
I mean, so far I agree with the narrative. The great and lovely descent. The great and lovely descent. Great and lovely descent. So the first one was fish. Go, set, ready, fish. Interesting title. I didn't really understand. But the great descent seems kind of around.
Let's talk about video game development for a second.
Okay.
Every video game runs on what's called an engine, which
Right.
determines what the game can and cannot do. So in other words, the engine is a set of tools for game development. To make all of these games, Coda is using an engine called Source. Like all engines, Source has certain things that it does well, and it has certain things that it does poorly. One of the things that it does very well is boxy linear corridors. That's why so many of Coda's games are set in these large, flat, empty rooms, is just because he's working with what the engine does well.
Oh,
The
can't open
tools
that.
available to the creator shape what kinds of creative work they're going to end up making. You might consider paying attention to the architecture in Coda's games, to notice how they seem to stem from an engine that's very good at producing linear, boxy corridors.
Ah! Oh. Fall damage? Whoa! That was a great descent. Ah, that's beautiful. Alright, close on me. That doesn't sound good. Okay. Oh, what the? Left or right? Left. Oh, it can't go left. Right? Okay, never mind.
This prison, funny enough, in Coda's original design, the doors stayed shut for a full hour before letting you go. If you don't mind, I think we're gonna skip that.
Thank you.
This is something that he and I used to argue about a lot. You know, whether a game ought to actually be playable, whether it means anything if no one can get through it. And I would always defend that, you know, all this work goes into the game, why not make it playable and accessible? And so we just got into heated arguments over it, and there was one time that after one of these conversations, he went home, and a day or two later, he sent me a zip file entitled Playable Games that was full of hundreds of individual games, each of which was just an empty box that you walked around in and nothing else. Believe me, I played every single one of those just to find out if there was like a gag hidden somewhere. there wasn't.
Well, it seems like the narrator is kind of a bit biased toward his own opinions, because Coda intended to do something else with his games, something more meaningful for him, at least. And the narrative seems kind of a bit biased towards Coda, or like thinking what's right and wrong. And then to be fair, like I would agree, like yeah, you should at least make it playable. But Coda seems to have a different meaning towards his creation. And all creation art has different meaning, right? Oh,
It's the puzzle again, with the exact same solution as the last time.
oh sweet. Or is it? It is?
There's still no clear indication of what makes this puzzle so special that Coda is going to return to it over and over. But I promise I'll share with you my interpretation very shortly.
Moving forward, probably. Always keep on moving forward. Even when you think there's a dead end, just keep moving forward. There might be a light. The fuck? You there, did you
Here,
come
Coda
from
begins
above?
using a kind of dialogue system that he fashioned out of the engine's chat capabilities. Use the 1, 2, 3 buttons on your keyboard to respond.
Yes, there were full and colorful blocks. The world stamped whiteness. Yes, the world was stamped whiteness. That's where above. You have been there. Thank you. Now that is important. Did you have to go through the puzzle of the 2 doors and switches? No, I don't remember how to puzzle. I prefer not to tell you. After all, we have just met. Yes, sure I did. Again, perfect. Now please tell us, how do you solve it? Tell us the solution. Tell us on the other side. I don't remember how I solve it. I didn't solve it, someone let me in. Trust me, you don't want to go over there. I don't know if I should let these guys solve it. The solution, I didn't solve it, someone else let me in. You didn't solve it? No. So you have learned nothing. You cannot help us escape this prison. You are not the one I need. Surely there will be someone else. Okay. I don't want to let you escape this prison. Huh? No, I've been here this entire time. I suggest you go and see the puzzle sometime. It's not meant to be solved, but you can sit in the blank space in the middle. Who are you? Just hang on and hang out there in that blackness for a bit. You may not like it at first, but eventually grow onto you, eventually. Okay.
And so we make one last descent down to the final floor of the level.
Those were bright lights.
It's a lamppost. Okay, I can't tell you quite why, but for some reason Coda fixates on this lamppost. It's going to appear at the end of every single one of his games from here on out. I'll tell you what I think. I think that up to this point, you know, he's been making really strange and abstract games with no clear purpose, and maybe you can only float around in that headspace for so long. Because now he wants something to hold on to. He wants a reference point. He wants the work to be leading to something. He wants a destination, which is what this lamppost is. It's a destination. We're going to see it in the work as well. His games are just going to become a lot more cohesive, a lot more fully developed, with more of a clear idea behind them. And as we go, that idea will get clearer and clearer and clearer.
Interesting. Destination, huh? something to hold on to know what you want in life, a goal, a lamppost, a lighthouse, a light. This game is connected to the internet. As you walk around, you can leave notes. Oh, all notes you see are left by other players. This is a note. Nice room. Not. Oh my god, I forgot how 2009 internet was
so
cruel.
First off, I'm sure you can deduce this, but this game is not connected to the internet. All of the notes that you're gonna see have been written by Coda. This was actually the first game of his that I ever played. This was shortly after I met him at a weekend game jam in Sacramento, where I grew up. I saw him working on this very level, and it was just so different from anything that anyone else was doing. So right away I was like, I have to be friends with this person. In retrospect, I think I was probably a bit too pushy, trying to get his attention. I was over-enthusiastic. But he was very gracious about it and very patient with me. And I cooled off eventually. Oh, feel free to skip over any of these notes if they're not doing anything for you. Nothing extra is going to happen if you read all of them. Either way, to me they convey a sense of loneliness.
It does.
I see this person who's filled with thoughts and feelings and beliefs and has no way to express them except as scattered and unheard voices in a game that wasn't meant to be played.
Hey guys, just looking for someone to talk with.
But it's ironic, isn't it? That in playing this game and seeing how alone Coda often felt,
I refuse to believe
that we get to know him better and actually kind of connect
Butt
with him.
ass butt.
And I have to be honest with you, this idea is really seductive to me. That I could just play someone's game and see the voices in their head and get to know them better and have to do less of the messy in-person socializing. I could just get to know you through your work. I think this is why I always liked Coda's games so much, is because it felt like they let me have that connection. I felt as though he was inviting me personally into his world. And then I feel less lonely too.
Door. Can open door, thanks. Open sesame. Door open how? Open sesame. Someday I will meet the person who made this. I help people because the internal good feeling I get. New room. Do you hear the chimes? They keep going, don't they? Chimes? They have schizophrenia. Schizophrenia. Like very much to be desired. It's not very crowded here. Scared of writing something. Don't want to feel judged. Maybe that's why you don't want to post this to the public? Because you're scared of being judged by the public? The game where you leave notes and suddenly everyone a poet. Could these be his... If he does have schizophrenia, right? Are these his multiple voices that's in his head? Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? You can go in here, I think. Well, congratulations. I don't know where to go with this. This is where I get off. I failed to write anything here. I am compelled. Stop, turn back. Proceeding further will only result in misery. Quite interesting to think. Let's say, for example, you keep on moving forward in life. The more you move forward in life, the more miserable you get. Is that there's a correlation? Take my hand, let's jump together. Cabbage shape our nation. Last Airbender, Cabbage Man. What is that painting? I'm curious too. Next time I would do better. Oh no. I need someone to talk to. Oh no. This is a note. Don't listen to the other notes. Yeah, it does sound like a person with a schizophrenia. Like, don't listen to that person. Don't listen to this one. I'm so lonely. I'm not safe. Yeah. Maybe these games represent Coda mental deterioration. Today I learned you cannot fall off. Ethical. I can't fall off? I can't fall off. I also have learned that too. I saw a person walking down there. Now it won't come back. Devil Tower Star. Painting blotches. Remind me of bacteria. It's about how this game is pretentious and you all suck. Oh my god. Stop pretending you are other people. Oh my god. Who are all of you? Well done, all of you. Who's he talking to? Whoever made this has issues. Painting, what does it mean? Stop faking. Art. Hey guys. How going? Just hanging. Help, I'm trying to speak. We will all die someday. Spoiler, it doesn't mean anything. Cabbage shape out nation. Cabbage! Cabbage man. I think it's about how things look messy from up close and perfect from up far. From up here, it looks like dots. Yeah. Devil Tower Star. He was himself the most horrible creature he could ever imagine. Self-esteem issues? Maybe I'll feel rude some days. Discontinence? Well, I'm here now. Yeah, we're all here now. There must be a reason for it, though. Yeah, it seems like the notes have been saying we a lot. His terrible secret, he would keep it well. I beat the game. You know, as a person, like, if you were to make notes by yourself, right, and it's not connected to the internet and not other people are making it, and you're making it, right, unconsciously, these are your thoughts, right?
At the end of this level, we're going to see the puzzle again. And here, I'll tell you what I think the puzzle means. Each of these games represents an idea that was on Coda's mind at the time that he was making it. And the puzzle is a way of closing the door on a previous chapter of his life before moving on to the next one.
Oh, the 3 dots again. I've been seeing a lot of 3 dots lately.
In each of his games, after exploring a theme that, he might find difficult, Coda can then place this puzzle that he knows has a reliable solution, he understands exactly how it works, and so it gives him a simple mechanism for moving on. And because there's this dark area between the doors, a space between the spaces, before you move on, you get to pause. Just for a moment, a few seconds to reflect on and let go of the events that led you here. To step back and connect the pieces together. To grasp at that elusive bigger picture.
Point star die
Okay, this one is
too!
tough. It's gonna kind of just spin its own wheels for a few minutes. Hang with it.
I think it's very interesting. At the very last room, right, when we solved the puzzle, there was only 1 note left, which means not everyone else survive or not everyone else make it, right? But also that room, that long hallway, makes you feel very lonely, and you get to like a certain point where you see a bunch of like typewriters, right? And those typewriters might represent, that hallway might represent going through your mind, through the tunnel of your mind to your brain, right? From your brainstem to your brain. And in your brain you have all these typewriters where all these thoughts are talking to you. Everything's at one, telling you to speak, talk. Like it's in one there, I'm lonely. So there is some type of, like, I could say like this represent Coda mental health in certain aspects or something, whereas I see a lot of bars, a lot of traps, a lot of open world, but you're also enclosed in the world. And it's quite interesting to think about all these backroom doors and puzzles. Is this like a party? Porn star house? Hello? Hi there. But that's just my interpretation to some degree. There's art and metaforms in games can be interpreted in so many different ways.
See, like, this is it, the whole game. And there's nothing that's particularly interesting about it. You just walk to the end of a hallway. Except, for some reason, Coda gets really fixated on this prison that has all of this modern furniture. And I don't know why, but he decides he needs to revisit this prison. He's gonna start over, use the same assets, turn it into something else. Okay, cool. Here's version 2.
Well, maybe that prison, or his furniture, modern furniture he lived. Wait, what furniture ought to go in the corner center? I could put 3 to break out of the prison, but let's put 1. TV with surround sounds. Where's the TV? Okay. What about along the walls? 3 stove, the 10 stove line up the wall. That's not stoves. I think we should allow the room. A skylight, faux ceiling window. Let's open the baby up. We put a live Tesla coil in each corner. That would just kill me, right? Let's do 1. Okay. That's not what I wanted, but okay. And a table. You need a table. Who are you? Where exactly are you doing? What exactly are you doing this from? I'm pretty sure none of my choices are making any differences. It really doesn't. But who are you, really? Thank you. IKEA?
There's a bit more to this one, but still, it's not really communicating anything. It's kind of just weird for weirdness' sake.
I can't move forward. Oh, there we go.
So, okay, he throws it out and starts over. This time he comes at the prison idea from a different direction.
Am I outside now? This guy will enable you to escape any prison environment. Follow the instruction very carefully and remember, careful each steps. First, click on the table. Good. Go over to the folder frame. Oh, the 3 dots again. And turn it slightly. Now the 4 lamps. So table, picture, floor lamps. Turn it back on. Now go to the left side sofa, move it over a little. Left side sofa, move left. Now touch a shelf. That's it. In real prison, the escape room will open. Return to the start to be taken back to your prison. Interested?
And of course, now the table is gone and you can't begin the chain of events to escape. Here's a version where there are no bars, but you can't actually get to the well. And then a version where the inside of the prison is the outside and the outside is the inside. Let me just blink you real quick through a few more of these. I mean, he really unloaded on this prison idea. There's nearly a dozen of them. Personally, I think it's awful to watch this, to see a person basically unraveling through their work. And for what? Like, at what point do you just go, maybe there are game ideas other than this prison that I could be working on? But Coda doesn't have that voice telling you to stop, that particular mechanism of defense against yourself. Without it, you just spiral. And so he keeps going and going and going and going and going, and then he hits on something. And he likes it. And that's it. He's done. He stops making prisons. This is the very last version of the prison game that he created. And the reason I think it works is that the prison is not actually in it.
Now, I guess my interpretation of the prisons, right? So remember when Davey and Coda has gone into argument, right? Where they would talk about like, oh, you should make the game playable or more accessible for the player, right? But it seems like the creator himself, the game developer, Coda himself, was not open. In general, it felt like he lived in a prison, a cage in his prison, feel like there's no meaning to anything. The past has haunted him, or maybe a girl broke his heart, and all that stuff, right? So it seems like he's trapped in his own mind. Mentally, he doesn't seem to do well, but who am I to diagnose him? But it seems like there's this unnerving wreck. And to find a way to escape prison is either have a door with a double-sided door puzzle, or have a lamppost to solve and to make him be free. A phone call to call your girlfriend, to call your regrets, to call someone, to have someone to listen to you. Who knows? Hello. Who is this? Hey, it's me. I'm you from after you escaped the prison. Oh, schizophrenia. You're talking to... Okay. Personality dysconians? I see. You're me. So, you were trapped in this prison too?
It's a conversation.
Yes.
And so this
I was
is
in the
what
furniture
Coda
release.
wants, is to be able to talk to someone, to share what's on his mind, and to get some good advice from someone who knows. But the irony is that even in this scenario, you're still talking to yourself. You know, all of these games so far are Coda talking to himself.
It's kind of strange, but in a way, I miss being in the prison. Why? Was there anything about it that you felt good about it? Being here sucks. True. Maybe I only like things once I don't have them anymore. It's very comfortable. I know it's limits. I knew my place. But you don't feel excited about getting out, the promise of freedom. Is that good though? It's comfortable, but it's inhumane. I couldn't live this way. You don't need to. You just have to be patient. Having limits is way more important than you probably realize right now. You will probably see what I'm talking about when you've been there for a while longer. Oh, now you're convincing yourself to be in the prison. Well, I kind of choose the first choice anyways. To say the prison was nice. So that's my fault. Wait, if you're me, then did you get a call from another version of you when you were trapped? No, I think I'm the first person to call back. Then can you tell me how you get out? Maybe I can come and find you. What do I have to do? To get out, all you have to do is be sincere. To get out, you need to tell me how you feel right now. To get out, just talk to me for a bit. Oh, yikes, to talk to them. What about number 2? What? That would free me. How does that work? Listen, you can't know until you're out, but I promise it works. Just tell me how you feel. It will make sense. Okay, I feel afraid that nothing will ever change. Go on. And that's it.
I can see why he considers this a fitting conclusion to the prison games. After all of the obsession and frustration, just to be told by someone you can trust that things are going to be okay. Wouldn't that be nice?
Okay, guys, I think that's it for now. Thank you for watching the first episode.
So what would it look like?
No, shut up. Thank you for the first episode of this gameplay. I'm pretty sure the second episode will be the very last one where I finish the whole game entirely. But overall, I actually enjoyed this game. This game is very. I think it might give some of you guys a central crisis some way, and you guys might feel some way somehow to this. But overall, hopefully you guys look forward to the next video, and thank you, and goodbye.